So I'm Josh, and this is my beautiful wife, Andrea. We met probably about seven or 8 years ago. We used to work together. That was the beginning of everything. And we've been married now for about 4 years. She means the world to me.
It was so important to me to have a family. So we found out that I was pregnant in November of 2012, so I had just turned 33. And it was, I don't even think words can express how excited we were. And when we finally found out, I think we took 7, 8, 9 pregnancy tests just to see the positive signs and just to see the word pregnant. We knew it was a boy, we knew his name. Jack. Yeah. Most of my pregnancy, there was some normal morning sickness, actually every day, but it still felt good. So finally, it was 37 weeks and 1 day, and the doctor decided it was time to induce. So we were admitted to the hospital in Missouri Baptist, and we were very excited. It was
go time.
This was it. It was go time. This was the day. This is what we've been waiting for. They decided to proceed with a C-section. So that was when I finally started to get a little bit nervous, just because it's a big procedure. So we went into the operating room and they performed the C-section, and I could hear him crying. I couldn't see anything else because I had the sheet in front of me covering my face so they could do all their work. But they brought him over to me and I saw him, and it was just beautiful to see the baby and to see how happy Josh was. Everything was perfect with Jack. Beautiful smile, eyes just like Josh, which was what I was hoping for. And he was great. It was amazing. And about 12 hours later, things weren't quite so amazing. Took a little bit of a turn for the worse. And the nurse came in to take some vital signs. And as she came in, I started to sit up, and all of a sudden, I could not breathe. I just started gasping for air. I could not catch my breath. It happened so fast. The nurse called for the rapid response team.
There's a flurry of activity.
I'm trying to yell at Josh to call my mom.
She knew she wanted me there, like, right now. Just because I would be her advocate.
Are you having any chest pain?
I was paralyzed with fear.
And it's serious.
I just thought something's going on. Something else is wrong. Something's wrong.
It was scary, as scary as could be, seeing your wife there get the crash cart called. Maybe I was a little paralyzed seeing my wife go through that.
So they were trying to get the fluid off of my lungs, and come to find out later, I had suffered from congestive heart failure, in which the fluid was just an overwhelming amount of fluid that a healthy heart would be able to handle. I had a heart issue. Unbeknownst to me, I have no family history of a heart problem. I'd never been diagnosed with a heart problem. No doctors had ever heard a heart murmur. Never any indication of anything wrong with my heart. We ate right. I exercised the best that I could. This was the shock of a lifetime. I had just had a baby. We were just starting our family, just starting our lives. And all of a sudden, they come into my hospital room the next morning to do an echo, ultrasound of my heart.
It was tough. It was.
So 8 days after he was born, we brought him home. It was just the most odd combination of emotions that you could imagine. You're just confused because all of a sudden you have a heart diagnosis that you've never known anything about. So So then it came time to make some decisions on treatment and where to go from there.
And once the doctor said that it needed to be replaced and there was no chance to repair it, then the next very big decision came, and that was, once there's a new valve, what type of valve should it be? So the choices were to replace the mitral valve with a mechanical valve or with a tissue valve.
The tissue valve meant that we could have another biological child, but it also meant that I would have to have the valve replaced again in 10 years. With the mechanical valve, it would make pregnancy very dangerous and really not an option, but it could potentially last me the rest of my life.
That was the biggest decision of our life to date. That was definitely the biggest decision of our life.
And so we chose the tissue valve with the option of having more children down the road. But it was, terrifying. So we scheduled the surgery 3 months after I had given birth to Jack.
Andrea's parents and my parents all came together and rallied around Andrea, and so they took her on the bed and said, okay, we'll see you, you have to say your goodbyes now, we'll see you a few hours down the line. So that was pretty scary to say. During the surgery, which was a long time, probably the longest 3 to 4 hours of my life, it was scary, the scariest 3 or 4 hours of my life. I was waiting by the phone, and the doctor would call. Those were the instructions I was given, was to wait in the waiting room and wait at the specific phone will ring a few hours from now, and we'll tell you how things went.
I could feel and see in him, the terror and anxiety. My husband calls it the longest morning of his life. So waiting for the red phone to ring.
The three of us kind of waited there, and scared as could be. And the phone finally rang. The nurse said, the doctor is closing Andrea up right now. Everything is a success. We've restarted her heart. They're closing her up, and the doctor will be out to talk to you in 10 to 15 minutes. And I was very excited. So what we did then was I said, can I repeat exactly what I just heard here? So then I hung up the phone, and I turned and before I could even get to them, which were only 5 feet away from me, they were already embracing in a hug, crying to each other. And so they said, come on in, Josh. And so I think we knew from that point everything was going to be okay.
I felt like we had a guardian angel looking after us. And I knew in the end we would get through it, but I didn't know the journey we would take to get there.
And we know with the decisions that we've made that we will go through that again. And that's scary to think about. I'm glad we've been through it once, so we know what to expect. But it's important what the American Heart Association is doing to make sure that years down the line from now, when Andrea goes through this again, my hope is to not be as terrified as I was that day.
My future depends on the research that comes from the American Heart Association. The hope is for a less invasive process the next time around. Maybe it won't be an open heart surgery. Maybe there'll be better medications down the line that won't be quite so dangerous or risky. It's not cheap. I mean, that's one of the goals of the American Heart Association, and that's something that we need to do together to raise money so that my surgery, somebody else's surgery, somebody else's diagnosis, anybody out there who has a need for a cardiologist in general can be affected by the funding and the research of the American Heart Association. Go Red for women, absolutely. Heart disease is the #1 killer of women in America, and it's shocking when you hear that if you don't already know it. I didn't think about it before this happened to me, and now I do think about it every day. I think about it, and every day I'm committed to leading a healthier life for myself, for Josh, for Jack, and maybe for another baby to come.
I'm gonna say you saved Mommy's life.
There's the truck. You see the truck?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, truck. Up, brought it.
It's bittersweet for me because on one hand, it's sad to me, sort of, that he's never gonna know me as the person that I was before, which was a little bit more carefree. But it's so sweet to me that he's gonna know how committed I am to giving him a better life, giving him a healthier lifestyle, and all of us. But I think that he's gonna know about it pretty soon because, I mean, last year he was 6 months old and we did the heart walk with him. We'll do it every year, and so he'll grow up knowing that we're committed to the American Heart Association and to living a heart-healthy life.
But we're gonna tell him that during his birth, Mom had a heart problem, and we got it fixed after that. And because we got it fixed, Mommy's still here and she's gonna live a long, healthy life. So, you know, you're a lifesaver, Jack. And that's what I'm gonna say.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.